Hello, everyone. Another episode of Chats with Pupil Progress. You'll know Matt Hyde from Elephant Counselling, founder of Elephant Counselling. Really deep experience as a former teacher, former school leader. And we're here specifically to talk about how to support your students with exam stress. And we do this annually. We've done it for the last 2 years, and we're going to do another one after Christmas as well, because obviously we've got the exams that students are sitting, which is their mocks. Just before I get into it, and we've got a series of questions that we're going to work through that are going to talk about Matt's work and some of the really insightful information that's come out of Matt's work. Matt, if you wouldn't mind just giving the audience just a little reminder about yourself, a little bit about your experience. No problem if you touch on Elephant Counselling, and then also this work you do around exam stress workshops specifically for your year 11 cohorts, and sometimes for your year 10 cohorts as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Brett. Yeah, thanks for inviting me. Matt Hyde, now of Elephant Counselling fame. I've been a psychotherapist for over 5 years now, and that backed onto a teaching career of over 20 years uh, as a teacher, a leader, consultant. And I've been able to blend the two careers really, Brett. It's kind of the well-being stuff now with the teaching and education, the formal inculcation of knowledge and values, I believe it's referred to sometimes. To come up with this product now of trying to get kids through education nicely. There's demands, obviously. There needs to be demands. There needs to be a push. There needs to be a nudge. There needs to be an incentive. There needs to be a reason why. And kids need to have that for themselves. And the schools have to have outcomes, and the schools need to have grades. And can the schools do that nicely too? Can the kids get their grades nicely too? And what's happened is I've just feel as if I've just kind of come into the arena at this clash of schools needing grades and kids wanting grades, and schools trying to get grades from kids that don't want grades, and then kids not needing grades. And what's happening is this kind of conflicts happening, and everyone's, not everyone, a lot of people are falling out. And it comes
Mm.
to this pinch point now, particularly around mocks, Christmas time, year 11, where I'm doing these exam stress workshops for staff and for students to try and navigate the best way between probably October in year 11 and May of year 11. And if we can get to that finish line nicely.
Mm.
Lots of things with parents as well, Brett, about trying to get the best support team as well in place at home, to try and make this year 11 existence tolerable, dare I say pleasurable, because I really think it's possible,
Yeah.
but some people are finding it hard to navigate it.
I love that word nicely. And also, it's reminded me the reason why you and I have connected so well on this is because there's a realism, and I experienced it. So watching, and I know you have as well, Matt, with your own family context, and I know anyone listening to this or watching this on LinkedIn, they'll understand watching as from a parent point of view, watching your children go through this. And I watched my daughter go through the stress at A level. I mean, it was unbearable. Now I was trying to, I was being really strong for her and trying to give her practical tips and ways to get through it. But when we weren't together, I didn't add to that. Do you know how much you're stressing me out? But it was just so painful to watch this young person really trying and understands the magnificat. I don't know what the right word is, but just how big this is for them. So it's like, I want to go to my dream university, I want to go to my dream college, or I want to secure that course for level 3 wherever I'm going or staying on A level. So I love the fact, and you and I are really in agreement. We do not want an education society or system that is predicated on just an exam factory.
Mhm.
Don't want that. We want to have an education system that grows individuals to help them move forward in life, find purpose, find good careers, find ways in which they can add value to society. Unfortunately, We live in an education system that is governed. That means the students have to sit those exams by law. So I love the fact that you are trying to really help students and parents, most specifically students, manage that process, because we are part of that machine. Pupil Progress is part of that machine of like, we want to really help you understand what grade you're working at, but understand there is a complete psychology behind this, can be quite overwhelming process. So the reason why I'm talking to Matt is because I'm super passionate about connecting you with people like Matt, who are the experts in, and I don't mean that lightly. Someone who's been a vice principal, assistant principal, been a school leader, been teaching for just shy of 20 years. Was that right, Matt?
Yeah, yeah,
And now is now crafted from becoming a qualified therapist and counselor, now specializes in working with young people in schools. I don't know what would make someone more expert. Part of the reason for these conversations is to connect the education community with solutions to actual problems. Head teachers listening to this has the actual problem of students underperforming because they're stressed about the exams. So here we are trying to go, look, Matt, you're doing the deep work. So Matt, I want to actually reduce my amount of talking and ask you some really good questions around. The first one is I'd like you to just actually explain to people what those workshops are.
mhm,
Give us a little bit of a what does it encompass? And out
yeah,
of that is probably going to come some nice little tips that even if someone just took away from this would be wonderful.
yeah. Excuse me. My point of talking, I cough. Um, yeah, I run the risk, Brett, of rocking up in a school unknown to just be another adult in these kids' lives that's harping
Mm,
on them. And
yeah.
it's what I am. I rock up. Okay, who's this guy now going to tell us all about the exams, or tell us what I need to do, or how I need to work? And the workshops give me a different hat to the adults that are already harping on at these kids, parents, teachers, heads of year,
Yeah.
whatever it might be. And my spin on it would be to ask them how they are. So how is it? How is it for you? The teachers in there undoubtedly are teaching their socks off, and the parents
Mm,
undoubtedly, although not in every case, Brett, which breaks my heart, undoubtedly want them to do well. And then there's this other guy coming in just saying, "Okay, you need to do well," but I don't. I don't. I dispel the myth by going, "This is what you should do." I'm really interested in knowing what they need. So a couple of first questions I ask I do like a whole year group assembly. How are you? Whether I'm going in at the start of year 11, Christmas of year 11, February half term is stretching it, Easter is possibly too late, sometimes at the start of year 10. How are you? Uh,
mm,
Swiftly followed by, do you even care? And it puts the onus back on the students. They've got lots of people telling them what to do. In this instance, you got somebody asking them how they are. Because even with those kids, the vast majority of kids, if they were asked to put their hand up, do care. But you have got a contingent in every year group that don't live in their best life. Because then the next question is why don't you care? Because I don't need them, family business, don't know what I need. And all of a sudden, you're getting a bit of a profile in terms of the year group or the pockets of the year group that are working. The ones that care, what do you need and where do you want to do it? So all of a sudden, we're untangling where this anxiety might be, where this stress might be, where the uncomfortable feelings might be, the challenge. And all of a sudden, what do you want to do and where do you want to do it gives you what level you're going to be working at and where. So level
mm,
and location are really cool. And all of a sudden, these kids that are struggling or have got a massive lens on what year 11 might be, it starts to come in. And I'm not asking questions that teachers won't be asking them. Fresh face, non-judgmental,
mm,
different setting. So what do you need and where do you want to go? Really, really cool things. And then all of a sudden you're kind of thinking, is it achievable? So I used big shout out to Exmouth Community College. I was in there on Wednesday last week. My
Mm.
third visit there, Brett. I went in there at start end of year 10, introduced myself before their mocks, and last Wednesday I was in there on the day they opened their mock exams. They
Love
opened
it.
the results. So so I was there on the day where they knew where they were academically.
Mm.
No bones about it. No teacher assessment. That was where they were on paper.
Mm.
And they got to know how they felt about it. My word, Exmouth Community College getting this stuff massively. Big shout out to Lisa Moulton out there, arranged the day.
Yeah.
And we were, and they targeted groups. They had the able and anxious, they had the coasting, they had the underachieving, they had the English better than maths better than English. Schools are just setting these kids to find out what. So how do you feel about what you've just opened? And in terms of raw data, emotional data, that you cannot get better than that. And
Mm.
the workshops that happened afterwards were really, really powerful on an
So,
emotional scale.
so are those workshops then tailored? So talk to me about that grouping because that's really interesting. You and I have all been, as former teachers and in school, someone comes in and does a motivational talk and, that now we're starting to get into the nuts and bolts of it and the meat and the bones, which is you're going to start to get different types of responses and groups. Talk to me about that grouping, what Exmouth College have done. If they're a
Yeah.
working example, let's talk about it. Great.
Yeah, big case study. So that mock result envelope opening morning,
Hmm.
and then I was straight into 5 1 hour workshops. First workshop, able and anxious. So technically they've nailed the fives and sixes, sevens and eights that they need to get to where they want to go to study what they want. But can they be nudged up? Do the
So
cosmetic
just let me go back a step. How have we? How did you get them to that place? Like we know that group is enable and anxious.
Exmouth Community College have set them in my workshops,
Unreal. Okay.
like really going on the emotional side of
And
things.
what did
Like
they do? So some tips for them, like if anyone listening, to what have they done to basically kind of get them into those groups? Have they got before you've come in, or is this,
yeah,
or you've come in historically to work at a deeper level to start putting them in the right groups? Is that right?
yeah. No, so Lisa and the team managed to set the kids on their mock exam results.
Love
So
it.
they've crunched the data before I've come in on an emotional level. They've
Hmm.
crunched the data academically, so they've got the academic responses to the workshops I've got.
Hmm.
So these girls and boys, they've achieved. They've done really really well. They're the guys that can they give them a little bit of a nudge to get the eights and nines. They've nailed college next year. They've nailed level three. They've nailed it on a 8 or 9 subject basis. Can we squeeze them? How do they feel about sevens and eights? Can we get them eights and nines? So that was a particular focus of Exmouth Community College. You've got
Mm.
450 in a year group, by the way.
Wow.
Absolutely. So they've gone right. Okay, that's a group that can talk to Matt, and we had a range of emotions from smiles, as you can imagine, and tears. And so how do you feel about that? What do you need? Where do you want to go? Where's the care? Do you what? Yeah, I can clearly see that you care about your results. What would you like? And then
Mm.
what do you need to do? Who do you need to ask? What help do you need? Is it manageable? Is it impossible? Is it doubtful? So all of a sudden, these questions get asked in the next workshop to people who are 2 below where they should be, or 1 below where they should be, or ap apathetic boys.
Yeah.
So the year group, I don't go in and become the all singing hero. The school know the kids so far better than I do. But I
Mm.
just go in and work with the guys on an emotional level of so where do you find yourself now? And the school did an amazing job of setting. The day was so amazing because of the work the school put in. I was just the icing on the cake.
Mm.
But it was wonderful. Just asking those set questions. Do you care? Do you not care? What do you need? Where do you want to go? What do you want to study? Is it achievable? Looking at your results, what do you now need to do and who do you need to ask? and nicely, by the way, always ask nicely for your help. And then all of a sudden, the workshops are about emotionally tying in with the subjects that are great, thumbs up. They're great, the ones that are thumb down, the ones in between. And then the notion and the metaphor that I use is how do you eat an elephant, which is basically breaking the elephant down into smaller parts, bite-sized chunks. So the girl that's crying because she's not got the eights and nines that she wanted, it's not a disaster. We don't start from okay, well this is a nightmare now, and I've got to really put the put foot down to A. What I've got to do now is I've got to look at what's in front of me. I've got some eights and nines. I've got
Mm.
a few sevens. All right, so where do we go from there? And this stuff is doing what some schools do. It's doing what some teachers will be doing, but with the emotional basis of okay, so how are you feeling about that? What do you want? How do we do that? And slowing everything down as opposed to that mess that opened the envelope. So now who the student can be after Christmas of what we need to do.
I mean, what I love here is tailored conversations,
Mm,
not just blanket. There are going to be some great wins that anyone can go into an assembly and say, but you and I, we've always got these set questions, but the more questions come out that end up being better, which is what was the reaction of those students when you start to say, look, we're going to have a conversation with this group of people, but these are all similar. They're all feeling like you're feeling,
mhm.
right? Like what was the feedback like? What's the energy in the room when people are looking around going, oh, so you feel the same as me, and also you're also listening to what I feel like.
Yeah,
What talk to me about that.
it was incredibly bonding because
Mm,
all of a sudden is
you're not
my
alone. I'm not
yeah
alone.
the connection that any human being gets. This is with my counseling hat on now, Brett. Just
Mm,
similar experiences, the connection that you can feel with. I feel that too, and all of a sudden, if there's an empathy in the room as well, it's like you feel what I feel. I feel like wow. All of a sudden, you're not
mm,
alone. All of a
yeah,
sudden, you
yeah,
are in
yeah.
a targeted group. Oh my goodness, I don't want this feeling again in the summer. Well, all of a sudden, you've got an emotional driver to success as opposed to a stick and a criteria sheet and a grade boundary. But
Mm,
what was wonderful about the whole day, Brett, and this is where our worlds collide and have a bit of a synergy. I said to them as of last Wednesday, there was 70 school days left between my visit and the first week of GCSE exams, not calendar
mm,
days, school days. So that's not to scare, that's objective. And the next objective bit that they had was the stuff that you do so well, which is what were my grades? Not what I think I'm going to get. On that sheet of paper, they had nine subjects or so and nine numbers. So they know how long they've got left. They know how good they are, and on that day they realized how they felt about that number. And when you put all of that together, we've talked many times before, Brett, about knowing where you are
mm,
is incredibly helpful. Not
mm,
not kind of mucking about. I didn't say you had 75 days left to make them feel better. I didn't say they had 60 days left to make them feel worse, to get the energy up. They knew exactly where they were in the calendar. They knew exactly where they were on paper, and they knew exactly where they were emotionally. And as a result of that, the workshops just kind of go through the roof because you're just the facilitator of questions. The responses back are similar because they were targeted in the groups,
mm,
but then you break that down into individuals because there's an individual response to the feedback that they've just received. It for not phenomenal stuff, and I've used it in my social media now. Exmouth Community College are now the benchmark for how I will now do my workshops. I've
mm.
learned from them as to what's a really impactful day, and that was off the back of going in before the mocks and then in the end of year 10 as well, where the introduction to the rainbow tracking and thoughts, feelings, and reactivity stuff started to come in.
What's really powerful, and part of me was like, look, we just need to have a conversation here and remind everyone what you do. But typical of the way you work is it's ever evolving, and I'm listening now to even better processes and what you've learned from engaging with more schools. And what we forget is we drill in the classroom, we drill in, what we need to know. The teachers are like, I remember what it was like. I was riddled with adrenaline. Adrenaline is just taking me through.
Mhm.
And actually, there's a couple of things here that's really springing to mind. And I'll be bold. Like I'm selling your service here because I think it's very important, right? I'm being genuine because what's easy to happen is you get caught on that treadmill and you just adrenaline, adrenaline, adrenaline. What First off, let's just press pause a moment. Let's take you off timetable and let's actually illuminate there is an important part of the process, which is recognizing your feelings,
Mhm.
but also recognizing that the exams are a process as well as learning in the classroom.
Yeah.
And we are going to get better results, exam factory end, and
Mhm.
we're going to do it in a much nicer way if we all just take a moment here to recognize this is big for these young people, and what are we actually doing about that, rather than just dropping, because what schools can fall foul of, and by the way, I am not casting dispersions on any schools, by the way, and nor am I judging them, because we know firsthand what they're like. So what I'm not doing is, if you one of these schools, have a look at yourself. That's not what this is about. But I've done it. I've been given a 3-minute slot at the year 11 assembly to run in and go, right, guys, just remember it's exam season. And like they're kind of like, that 3 minutes is not going to do, what's that going to do? What we're going
Yeah.
to do here is we're going to take the time to understand you, and we're going to help you feel it, and we're going to recognize it, and then we're going to support it.
Yeah.
So the more I hear about it, the better it gets. So one of my questions that's coming from it is like, once you've done those workshops, right, and we've
Yeah.
we've given those young people that opportunity to go, I have a voice and I've been heard and I feel better because other people are experiencing the same thing as I am.
Yeah.
What's the support that you then are able to provide past those workshops? And what's the support that that student then takes with them going into this kind of, because I'm going to sneak in my favorite saying. And it was, don't know who said it, whether I've stolen it and I can't remember who, but there's always peace in the plan.
Right.
And I'll talk about my daughter in a moment, but I'm interested in, what is it you like to try and support those young people with once they've done their workshops as well?
Yeah. Do you know what? And it's not trumpet blowing, but I think once you've connected with a reason why and a care and
Mm,
what you need and where you want to do it, I, I think the support's there for them just to be checked in on whilst they're being taught. I think once the workshop has done its magic, I think that is the support, Brett. And
mm,
you've enabled them to have their own skills and strategies then for them to go on as to what do I now need. And it's almost kind of the support is self-structured then. It's signposting. What help do you need? Who can give it to you? What does it look like? Is the stuff achievable? And as soon as that oxygen's been breathed into them because they feel a particular way about the grade that they got, they're doing it themselves. And what's happened is the schools that trust Elephant Counselling pop in, we deliver this stuff, and it allows the teachers to just teach. Just just teach your course really well to the classes you've got to teach it to. How
mm.
you do that, Brett? My goodness, that's the $1 million question. That's for the teaching and learning people involved, and I'm sure
Yeah.
that what past papers is it buddy systems? Is it just chalk and talk? Is it? But all of a sudden, you're giving these kids the skills to possibly be trusted to say, right, I care, I want to do really well, I revise really well like this. Or if they don't know how they revise, maybe they need the help revising. But all of a sudden, I say from this point onwards, I don't know whether teachers have taught all of their content. I don't know if it's a 3-year course, teach it in two, revise it for one. I don't know whether it's a 2-year course, let's teach it. And I'm going to try and get it done by February half term and then we'll revise. I'm not going to get into the semantics of how teachers decide to do that. But teach, 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 teach can also be replaced with trust, 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 trust at this point.
Mm,
I love hearing from the kids. We bring in our work, we do the bits that we struggle with because we know that the part of the course that we're struggling with, we're not trying to do the 2 years in 2 weeks. We're trying to do that bit because I know from my teacher that I've only got that score in that. I need to boost that bit up. That's secure. And you got
mm,
30 kids in your class, but chuck the music on, get their earbuds in, get the kids doing. The kids that are caring will be doing this stuff. They're not going to cock this up on purpose because you've just allowed them to
mm.
put some music in their ear, and
Yeah.
they might use your lesson to do loads. They might use your lesson to do some. They might use your lesson to do not very much. But the trust with the kids that care because they know what they need and they know where they want to do it, you can do that. And I'm not saying, my goodness, just don't bin it all off and just tell them to get on with it. There's going to be a bit of a blend of chalk and talk. There's going to be a blend of I've talked enough now, get your stuff out and do the bit that you're struggling with.
Mm,
Because I think we've lost a little bit of sight of this autonomous learning. There needs to be that, and a teacher that steps away, it's almost like a helicopter parent that's just on them all the time. Back off,
mm.
like
Yeah.
back off and trust,
Yeah.
because a kid that's going to be twirling their pen, we got a pen twiddle, Brett, right? Kid that's just going to sit at the back and just twiddle their pen. You can ask them, is that helping you? There's another big follow-up question I asked. Is that helping you get to where you say you want to be?
Mm.
And unfortunately, some of them have to say, no, it's not. Okay, we'll put four legs of your chair on the floor. Maybe open the bit that you're struggling with. Give it a go. Or do you need me to help you with that?
Do you know what? So what reminds me as well is reconnecting the students with their why.
Mm,
The big question for schools is, do you take the time to reconnect them with what they want? Because you do get caught up in, and I'll say it because I've done it. So I'll cast my own judgments and my own practice when I was teaching, which is I need these results. Now you'll
mhm.
say, and you will, you want the students to do well because I love the kids that we taught.
Yeah.
Some of them had their challenges. Some of them, would have their challenges with me or whatever. But you become, whether you like it or not, as a teacher, you want the results. And then the students feel that, and you're like, well, do I need these? Do I want these? To have that moment where someone's going to come in and go, what do you want? What do you want? How much do you want these results?
Yeah.
What do you want? What do you want for your career? To actually then reconnect that student with their why? And I tried to do that with and I'm going to come because I'm going to ask, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit about a couple of strategies and just choose some of your favorite strategies that have come out of the workshops. But like that, I used to say to the students, look, as much as your teacher's behavior is about what they want for their results as a teacher, at the end of the day, they are your bits of paper you're leaving with. So
Mm.
you've got to connect with what do you want? A prime example is, sir, uh, you know, I don't, a GCSE and P is no consequence to my life. And you're just talking to me about revision. Brilliant. That's the right conversation. But let's paint a picture. Do you want 10 GCSEs on your CV or seven?
Yeah.
Well, actually, if we can get a little bit of tweaking right, you can get 10 GCSEs on your CV, and it doesn't really matter which one's made up the 10, but I can help you if you want, get 10 on your CV versus just seven. So it's up to you. You can just bin off doing any work for PE, but I'm happy that you're going to prioritize English, sociology, and something else because if that's where you want to go. But you're also kind of throwing the baby out with the bathwater if you don't actually put that. That was an adult conversation, and then some of them were like, "Yeah, actually, you're right. Okay, great. So I'm not saying make it more important than English or make it more important than psychology, but what I'm saying is, if we're strategic here. So my point is I love the fact that you're actually that this is reconnecting students with their why as young adults, which is absolutely critical. Can you share with us some of your favorite strategies that students can leave those workshops with? Now, given the depth and the expertise you're applying, which is the number of possible workshops and number of strategies per persona, we're obviously not going to get through them all, but I'd love you know, a leader going, so, give me an example, Matt. Give me an example of something that's gold dust that these young people are going to get if you came into their school.
Yeah, I think broadly, Brett, we've talked about it. It's the connection. It's it,
Mm,
it's pumping some oxygen into those kids that didn't see what's the point. What's the point? Don't need that. Don't care. And I really believe that there's a contingent of kids in every year group that either say that and don't mean it, or they say it and they do mean it. Un, Uncovering the reason why. What is the point of this 11 years of education? And at the
mm,
end of 11 years of education, you've got to sit some tests when you're 16 years old to let somebody else know how good you are at something.
mm,
So breaking what they're actually doing down. It makes it random. They've been coming to school for 11 years for this opportunity to write some stuff down about a subject that they might be interested in or they might not be interested in. So I think the lovely strategy is making it relevant. It's their passport to what they really want to do. And we talk a lot about, for the first time in September next year, these students, these young people will be doing something because they've chosen to rather than they have to.
mm,
And some of them don't even know that that's the thing. They don't have to go to the PE shop to get their PE kit. They don't have to go in town to get the school uniform. They don't have to get the pencil case filled. They'll be choosing what they want to do. And the course that they would like to do, well, it's going to start in September, whether they're in it or not. Whether they want to bum on that seat in that course, then that connection with, bloody hell, I've got to get on this bus, otherwise it's going to go without me anyway. So for the first time, you're bringing a relevance to the big wide world of, if I don't do it for myself, no one else is going to. We
mm,
talk a lot. Just these are strategies, but the more so themes, Brett, that get just kind of permeated through the day. I talk about year groups in Exmouth. I said this is now not a 1 year group of 400 kids. This is 400 year groups of one, and breaking away from what your mate wants to do or what your mate doesn't want to do, or we're all going to go and do psychology together at level 3. Well, you might, but if you don't get science and four other subjects, then you got no chance. All of a
mm,
sudden, and it's not a mad scramble, every man or woman for himself, but it is. And the themes and the notions, the strategies, I think, are for the kids to find out. What helps, do it loads, and what doesn't help, don't do it. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What level do you want to do it at? What help do you need? And we start looking at home as well, your support team. How can the folks help at home? Do they need to back off? Do they need to show more interest? Me and my wife fell out actually about a month ago about me not doing enough and her possibly doing too much. And what we did, Brett, is we didn't quite come to words, although there was that frostiness. You know, the frostiness. There was the frostiness. And I said to Julie, and again, she points at me and she said, "Don't be putting that counselling hat on with me." She's, and I dared. I said, "This is firmly Matt the dad." I said, why don't we ask Alex? Why don't we ask Alex?" And I said to Alex, I said, "If I'm coming across as not doing enough, it's because I love you and I want you to do really well, and I don't
mm,
want to cramp your style, but you know that I'm there if you need me."
mm,
And Julie said exactly the same, but obviously she said, "If I'm on you too much, it's because I love you and I really want you to do well, but you need to tell me to back off, and I will do that if that helps." And,
mm,
and Al was brilliant. He was in the middle of it all, and he just said, "Yeah," he said, "a few less questions would be really good, or a little bit more interest here and there would be great." Well, they are the barometers of what works for them. They are the show. I've got this
mm,
great slide I put up as well with, and actually it's Lando Norris of all. It comes relevant. The big green hat in the middle of the orange McLaren pit stop, and he's got looks like hundreds of people around his car, and they're all really important. Even the guy that puts the thing at the front to lift the car up and the nuts and bolts people and the tire people.
Mm-mm.
The guy in the middle with the green hat is Lando Norris. That's the exam student. That's who's going to be on the podium, hopefully, spraying the champagne because they've got exactly what they need.
Mm,
And our roles around them, they're important. Whether it's a tire, whether it's a bit of wiping his visor, or whether it's a little bit of petrol or whatever, we've got to know our role. And one of the best strategies you can give your students is for them to be able to dictate the traffic around, to go, right,
mm,
actually, I don't need you. And the bravest teachers, the bravest parents for sure, because we're so
mm,
emotionally invested in these horrible types that cause us so much stress. We're so heavily involved in them that it takes a brave parent to take a step back,
mm,
or it takes a really humbled parent to go, bloody hell, maybe I haven't been involved enough. Right.
mm,
How does that then look? And I think the nicest thing from these workshops, Brett, is the ownership that we pass on to these young adults to be
mm,
able to signpost, to be able to dictate, to be able to ask for, and they ain't always good at asking. My goodness, even the big chest beaters around the playground, they then ask for help. But
yeah.
the workshops connect them with their why. Like you've just brilliant, Brett. They connect them with the why, with a purpose. What's the point? What do I want? Do I need twos and threes to go on to my level one construction course? And I say that with the absolute utmost respect, because twos and
Mm,
threes for some are a challenge. Do I need the fives and sixes to get myself onto a level three course at the local college? Or do I need the eights and nines? And for some kids, I need the nines because I'm going to go and do law in London, and I need nines on my GCSE because that's how they separate all these rocket scientists.
mm,
But I think the big thing that I do learn, I learn from every workshop I do, Brett, about empowering these kids to be able to ask for what, and this is the big thing, genuinely, honestly, and authentically works. Saying
mm.
you need your parents to back off when actual fact you need a bit of a, oi, what are you doing up there? You're lying. And all of a sudden, me coming in on this emotional results day to go, right, we ain't mucking about here. If you're genuinely feeling that, what do you genuinely need for you not to feel that in the summer? And it just joins all the dots up.
Matt, I love it. Because the
Thank
other the other thing that comes to mind as well, just while you were like lost in conversation there, is it makes me wonder whether the teachers really benefit also to connecting to seeing the students in a different light. Because they'd have been like, da, 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 like, why aren't you paying attention and didn't come to intervention and blah, 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 blah. It makes me think about whether these workshops and these days where we're like, look, let's, like I was saying, let's take the step back. Let's understand that there is a process that we need to give respect to, because
Yeah,
ultimately you could be as clever as you want or as capable as you are, but if it becomes so much you just have a complete collapse, it's irrelevant and no one wins. And the worst of all, it's the students don't. Have you got any feedback of what the teachers have reflected on and going, oh, do you know what? I didn't realize actually that although they might be quiet, they're either suffering or, oh,
mm,
actually, I thought they were just really cocksure of themselves, but actually, it's now made me view them in this way.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. I do, and I think you can only recognise those moments when you've taken your foot off of the formal delivery of
Mm,
your course.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think maybe somebody else coming in to be the catalyst for this emotional connection
Like a
to the
facilitator, right?
subject. Absolutely.
Mm,
Because sometimes teach more isn't more. That what a student will do for your, not for you. Well, maybe it will be if you got that relationship with a kid and they go, oh, they'll run for a brick wall for you. That's amazing. Like what? Like wow. But sometimes they're not doing it for you. They'll do it for themselves or they won't. And what you can do is you can teach your course really, really well, but checking in emotionally will allow them to be able to go and do some amazing things when you're not even in the room. My counseling sessions, Brett, I would never be arrogant enough to say that my clients are always 1 hour better because they've been with Matt for an hour.
mm,
A lot of the great stuff happens when they're not with me. And
Mm.
all we've done is we've just rattled a little bit and just go, okay, well, oh, never even thought about that. And they spend the next week thinking about it. The same with teaching. What we can be the catalyst for learning. You know, if you're into this, that will be a great article to read, or that will be a great uh, link to click, or you could really do with maybe finishing that off. Or what I would do is I'd rewrite that if I was you. And the kids are going off and doing that in their own bedrooms because they got YouTube, because they've got this download, because they've got a link. And some of the times you're not there to even teach them. You're just there to inspire, or
Mm.
you're just there to set them on the right path. They don't have to be dragged. You can just be nudged. Yeah, that brilliant. Well, you're almost there with that 9 mark question. What I would do is just chuck in a few more adjectives, and all of a sudden you're off there and make it a little bit clearer to find your marks. Do it. Go. How would They'll have their earbuds in, they'll have their Netflix on, they'll have their stuff all over the floor like an absolute mess. They're finding their own way to be able to do the things that we're nudging them to do, encouraging them to do, wanting them to do, and willing them to do. But I don't think, even in my parent days of revision and what the bloody hell is he doing up there kind of thing, if I'm stood in his doorway, my arms folded, going, well, I'm not leaving until I see you've opened your book. Well, physically, he can open his book. Well, I don't know what's going in.
Mm.
I can't make. I can make him sit at his desk. No, I could. I probably couldn't even do that. I can't even make him sit at his desk. He sit at his desk if he wants to. Can't make him learn, or I don't even know if it's going in or not. But what I can do is I can provide an environment that gives him the best chance to be able to do that, just like teachers in their classroom. What are you doing to facilitate learning? And if you've delivered your course, and all of a sudden then you've got a 16-week breakdown, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do that. Maybe have an 8-week breakdown, have an 8-week, do what you want, do what you struggle with. And that's that kind of backing off as well as being on them. And I think that's where me and Julie had our moment of going between the two of us. I think we're nailing it. Not in a
Yeah.
trumpet blowing way, but you need that structure, but you also need that trust. You need that professional knowledge, and this is your 9 mark lesson today. And then the next lesson might be, so have a crack at it. Or
Yeah.
if you think your 9 mark is in the bag, have a go at the multiple choice ones at the front, whatever it might be. But it's a fascinating cocktail of what goes in. And the thing is that Exmouth have got 400 individuals. Other schools 250, other schools 125. It doesn't matter. We got 90 in a
So
year.
are Exmouth, because I know you also offer parent workshops as well.
Yeah,
Are they doing that as well?
yeah, for sure. That and they're
Oh, love
phenomenal.
that.
They're really good.
Love
And
that.
all of a sudden you got parents coming in at 6 o'clock, 6 till 7. Bit of a resume about how things are. Bit of a support systems, helpful help. No,
What are the parents saying? What are they
yeah.
saying about it? They're enjoying it?
Thanks for that. Absolutely. And it's not teaching them how to be parents. It's almost kind of letting them know what's coming,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
what potentially is coming, and what you could, if you are the dragon and
It's
you're
hard. It's
oh,
hard.
but no, there isn't a rule book.
Yeah.
And I talk about that. I said to some of the parents, "Have you done this before?" Because they might have older siblings, and they might go,
Mm,
"Yeah." And I said, "How was it?" And they go, "Yeah, great." I said, "We'll do it again if it works the same one." But you
yeah.
might have two different kids. You might have, or if it was a nightmare last time, well, don't worry about it. Maybe you need to do a little bit less of that and a little bit more of this. But it's making again and again. The parent presentation, Brett, is about putting houses in charge of their grade getter. Like teachers don't have to be in charge of their subject, the student does. The parents don't have to be in charge of their son or the daughter, the kids do. And then all of a
Mm,
sudden, if we can take a step back and become facilitators or directors of whatever it is they've got for the last, well, we're down to 65 days or so now, then it's going to be a better experience than if we're barking up the wrong tree and we're not showing an interest and they want one, or we're showing too much interest and we need to back off.
mm,
Communication, dialogue. You're out a lot this week. You need to be in at the weekends. All right. Well, if you're in at the weekend and you earn the week, or you out in the week, you need to work at the weekend. But I'd even tell parents that if they're out of the weekend and out of the week, there's not a lot you can do. You can ground them, you can keep them in, you can lock them in, you can do you're upstairs. It doesn't mean so they're learning. But what you
But
can do,
that's the power of what you were talking about. We need to connect them with the why.
that's the
Because
what. So if there's the
if we
what,
don't take the time for it,
that's it. And the conversation then you have with your grade getter is you're out again, no problem. But is that going to help you get to where you want to go to in September? And it's a oh my goodness,
let me
such
leave you to think about that.
a
I'll
but
leave you. Do you want a cup of tea with that? I'll bring you some biscuits while you think about that.
yeah, if out down the skate park or out down the bench or out in town is going to help you get on that psychology course at Exeter College in level 3 in September, crack on. Looks like you're
How about
nailing
it?
it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's not Jedi mind tricks or reverse psychology, but it's just being factual, Brett. It's
Mm,
connecting that emotion because you were crying in December. And now all
yeah,
of a sudden, this is a bit of a distant memory. The lads have asked you to go out because it's a five-a-side match, but on. What is that helping? Right, go and play five-a-side.
yeah.
Fantastic. All
That
right, but then
helps.
you might have to put a little bit back in on Sunday. Yeah, but Arsenal are playing. Oh my goodness. Well, you're gonna have
Let's
to
have a look at your
just
schedule. Let's have a look. This put a bit of a plan in place, right?
sure, and it's their plan. It's
Yeah.
their plan, and
Yeah.
and we're not on their backs in September if they didn't quite cut it either, because then they've got another year to do whatever it is they didn't do this year. And
And
schools
this
don't
is,
like that.
yeah, I mean, like it's really this whole personalized approach is really powerful because I think about Megan when she was going through her A levels, and bless her, she was carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders. So a lot of my support to her was like, let's just say you got all U's. Like you're still alive, you're still breathing, you've got family that loves you. You will find a way. You're a smart kid. Like if you open those envelope and you're bitterly disappointed and you knew you were the thing with her was, and this is not just to kind of get dragged into a conversation about my daughter, but it's like it was tuning into okay, I understand her a little bit, and I understand that if we create too much pressure, she's going to pop, and it's
Mm,
inviting that conversation to trying to going back to exactly what you said, which is what do you need? I
yeah.
need everyone to stop getting so stressed about it because it's creating more stress for me. I actually need a bit of a kick up the backside because opening those results in December was like not good for me, and I felt a little bit embarrassed, and I knew I could do better, and blah blah blah. Matt, I am really conscious of your time, and I know that you've got a really important meeting coming up, so I'm going to wrap it up. If you are a head teacher, I, I I would be connecting with Matt immediately on LinkedIn. I'd be going to Elephant Counselling. I'd be really looking at how do I engage with this level of support for our young people because you can find out exactly what subject areas are underperforming, what topic areas are underperforming in, what AOs, what groups of students you need to work with. You can do all of that work, which is what we do, right? But what you need to do is connect with those young people with the process they've got to go through to help them go through it and to connect them with their why so that you get an improved outcome because we've actually really got to the meat and bones of what the exam process is. So you need to connect with Matt, and he is going to support your school in doing all of this really quite ugly stuff really nicely. So, Matt, thank you so much for for your time. Enjoy your evening, and have a wonderful Christmas too, as well, because I know that we're both really desperate for a nice break.
Absolutely, Brett. And yeah, sentiments right back at you, mate. It's yeah, thanks for the opportunity to chat about this stuff. We're desperately passionate about every area of education. I think if
Yeah, I can
our
tell.
worlds can collide, then it just gives the best outcome for the students, doesn't it? So yeah, absolutely.